Have you ever found yourself in a situation where the moment you step back, he starts stepping forward? One day he's acting like your attention is nothing special. Then suddenly, when you give him space, he's chasing you like you're the best thing he's ever lost. Why does this happen? What's the secret behind this powerful shift? Let me tell you, it's not luck, it's not games, and it's definitely not about trying to make him jealous. It's about you, your energy, and your ability to reclaim control in a way that changes everything. The truth is, most of us have been conditioned to think that if someone's pulling away, we need to chase harder. But here's the kicker. Chasing never works. The more you pour into someone who's not valuing you, the more they take you for granted. The solution? You stop chasing, you focus on your growth, and you let him come to terms with what he's lost. This isn't about being petty or playing mind games. It's about the transformative power of Dark Stoic Psychology and Stoicism, where you control the only thing you truly can, yourself. When you embrace this mindset, something extraordinary happens. You shift the dynamics, and suddenly he's the one realizing that life without you isn't what he thought it would be. Today I'm sharing 7 powerful reasons why giving him distance can flip the entire script. Each one builds on the last, and by the end you'll understand not just why he comes back, but how you can use this knowledge to grow into the most confident, self-assured version of yourself. Ready to dive in? Let's uncover the secrets, starting with a realization that's as painful for him as it is empowering for you. Reason 1. The realization of what he lost. Let me ask you something. How often do people fail to appreciate what they have until it's gone? We've all been guilty of it at some point, haven't we? It's easy to take things and people for granted when they're always there. That's exactly what happens when you step back and give him space. In the beginning, he might not even notice. He might assume you'll come running back, just like you always have. But here's where the magic begins. When you're no longer available at the drop of a hat, he starts to feel your absence. And I don't mean just physically, I'm talking about the emotional energy, the support, the comfort you brought into his life. The little things he never acknowledged suddenly loom large in their absence. Do you think he'll miss your good morning texts? Your patience when he vented about his day? Or the way you always made sure he felt cared for? Absolutely. What's fascinating is that this process doesn't happen overnight. At first, he might not even realize anything's different. But as days turn into weeks, the reality of life without you sets in. Suddenly, the emotional void you used to fill starts to feel unbearable. The routines he never thought twice about now feel hollow without you. And let's be real. When someone who's been a constant source of light steps out of your life, the shadows become impossible to ignore. Think about it this way. Every interaction you had with him added value to his life, whether he consciously recognized it or not. When you pull back, you're not just taking away your presence, you're taking away the energy that made his world brighter. And here's the kicker. He doesn't just miss you. He misses the version of himself he got to be around you. That's the power you held all along, even if you didn't realize it. Now, some people might argue, but shouldn't he have appreciated me in the first place? And you're absolutely right, he should have. But here's where Stoicism comes into play. You can't control how someone values you initially. What you can control is how you respond when you're not being valued. By stepping back, you're forcing him to confront the truth. Your presence was a gift he never fully appreciated. This realization often hits him in unexpected moments. Maybe he sees an old photo of you two and feels a pang of regret. Maybe he's out with friends and notices something's missing. The laughter, the connection, the spark you brought to the table. Or maybe he meets someone new, only to discover that they don't come close to what you offered. Whatever the trigger, the end result is the same. He starts to realize that losing you wasn't just a mistake, it was a wake-up call. But here's the part one loved most. By the time he comes to this realization, you're already growing. You're already stepping into a more confident, self-assured version of yourself. And while he's busy reflecting on what he lost, you're focused on building a life that doesn't depend on him or anyone else for validation. So let me ask you this. When he finally realizes what he's lost, what will he see? Will he see the same person who waited around for his attention? Or will he see someone who's thriving, glowing, and completely out of his reach? The choice is yours, and the power is in your hands. Ready for the next reason? Let's talk about what happens when fear enters the picture, specifically, the fear of losing you to someone else. Stay tuned. Reason 2. The fear of losing you to someone else. Imagine this. He's scrolling through social media and stumbles upon a photo of you. You're smiling, glowing, maybe even surrounded by new people who are clearly loving your energy. Or maybe he hears through mutual friends that you've been doing amazing, trying new things, looking happier than ever. And then it hits him. What if someone else has already noticed what I missed? This fear, the fear of losing you to someone else, is like a tidal wave. It crashes over him, bringing with it an overwhelming sense of urgency and regret. The idea that someone else could step into your life and give you the attention, love, and validation he failed to provide is a game changer. Why? Because people often don't realize how much they value something until they imagine someone else taking it away. Let me ask you something. If you're thriving without him, doesn't that signal to the world that you're someone worth paying attention to? The answer is a resounding yes. And trust me, he knows it too. The more he sees you moving forward, the more he begins to question what's going on in your life. Who are you spending your time with? Is there someone new? Are they treating you the way he should have? These questions don't just cross his mind, they consume him. And here's the kicker. This fear isn't just about jealousy. It's deeper than that. It's about realizing he no longer holds a secure place in your life. When you were always there, always available, he took your attention for granted. But now he's looking at you from the outside, wondering if someone else is already stepping in to appreciate what he ignored. That insecurity eats away at him, fueling a desire to re-enter your world before it's too late. What's fascinating is how this fear sparks reflection. He starts to think about all the ways he could have treated you better, all the moments he failed to truly see your worth. Dark Stoic Psychology comes into play here, as his mind wrestles with the consequences of his own actions or inactions. He realizes he might have let someone incredible slip through his fingers, and the thought of watching you thrive with someone else becomes unbearable. But here's where it gets even more powerful. This fear isn't something you orchestrated. You didn't pull back to make him jealous or manipulate his emotions. You pulled back because you recognized your own worth, reclaimed your energy, and prioritized your growth. The fact that he's now afraid of losing you is simply a natural consequence of your decision to focus on yourself. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're out, living your best life. You've found your confidence, your joy, your inner peace. Meanwhile, he's grappling with the thought that someone else gets to witness this new, thriving version of you. The mere idea of another man experiencing your laugh, your brilliance, your energy, it's enough to send him into a tailspin. And you know what? That's not your burden to carry. It's his realization to deal with. Here's where Stoicism empowers you. You're not waiting for his fear to drive him back into your life. You're not living for the possibility of his return. Instead, you're embracing your growth and letting the chips fall where they may. If he comes back, it's because he's realized your worth. If he doesn't, that's his loss, not yours. Either way, you're the one in control. So let me turn it over to you. Have you ever seen someone start to panic when they realize they might lose you to someone else? How did it feel to watch them come to terms with what they overlooked? I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video if this resonates with you so far. Your support helps me create more content like this and reach others who need to hear it. If this moment is hitting close to home, drop a comment and share your thoughts. I'm here to talk it through with you. Stay tuned because the next reason will blow your mind. We're just getting started. Reason 3. The intrigue of unpredictability. Have you ever noticed how predictable behavior becomes invisible over time? When someone can predict your every move, they stop paying attention. It's human nature. We crave novelty, surprise, and a hint of mystery. When you were always available, always responding quickly, and always initiating plans, he didn't have to think twice about you. You were a constant in his life, and constants are often taken for granted. But then, everything changed. You stopped being predictable. You pulled back, not to play games, but because you were focusing on yourself. And with that one shift, you became a puzzle, something he couldn't easily figure out. Suddenly, the dynamic flipped. Instead of him being comfortable and confident in knowing your every move, he's left questioning. What is she doing? Why isn't she texting back? Who is she with? This unpredictability creates a spark of intrigue. And intrigue is intoxicating. Think about the last time you were drawn to someone you couldn't quite figure out. You couldn't stop thinking about them, could you? That's exactly what's happening in his mind now. The absence of your usual patterns makes him pay attention in a way he never did before. The beauty of this shift lies in its authenticity. You're not pulling back to manipulate or confuse him. You're pulling back because you've reclaimed your energy. You're living your life, exploring your passions, and focusing on the things that truly matter to you. But from his perspective, it's as if you've become an entirely new person, someone he can't quite pin down, someone who feels just out of reach. And that's the key. You've gone from being the person who was always there, always predictable, to someone with an air of mystery. He doesn't know when or if you'll respond to his messages. He doesn't know what you're doing, who with, or where you're going next. And this uncertainty drives him to think about you constantly. The same mind that once took your availability for granted is now obsessed with your unpredictability. Here's an interesting twist. Unpredictability doesn't just make him curious about you. It also makes him reflect on himself. When he can no longer predict your actions, he starts questioning his assumptions about your relationship. Did he underestimate you? Did he misunderstand your value? What else might he have missed? This self-reflection is a powerful catalyst for him to reevaluate not just you, but also his own behavior. And let's be clear, this isn't about ghosting or being flaky. Unpredictability isn't about ignoring someone or disappearing for days. It's about genuinely living your life in a way that prioritizes your needs and goals over anyone else's expectations. When you're no longer bending over backward to fit into his world, you naturally become less predictable because your world has become your priority. Think about the message this sends. You're not the kind of person who waits around. You're not going to make your life smaller just to accommodate someone else's lack of effort. You're moving forward. And if he wants to keep up, he'll have to step up. This subtle yet profound shift in dynamics creates a sense of urgency in his mind. He knows he can't take your time and energy for granted anymore because they're no longer guaranteed. Unpredictability also creates a sense of value. When you were always available, your time and attention became something he expected. But now that you've pulled back, he realizes just how valuable those things were. He starts to crave the attention he once took for granted. And the more unpredictable you are, the more he feels the need to work for your attention. What's fascinating is how this plays into Dark Stoic Psychology. When you focus on your own growth and happiness, you naturally create a balance of presence and absence that keeps people intrigued. You're not withholding affection to punish him. You're simply living authentically. And that authenticity makes you irresistible because it's real, it's grounded, and it's focused on you. So here's the question. What happens next? As his curiosity grows, as he becomes more intrigued by this new version of you, he's faced with a choice. He can either step up and meet you where you are, or he can stay behind and watch as someone else discovers the amazing, unpredictable person you've become. Either way, you've already won. Because unpredictability isn't just about keeping him on his toes, it's about reclaiming your power and living life on your own terms. Reason 4. The shock of your growth. There's something utterly captivating about growth. It's transformative, undeniable, and impossible to ignore, especially when it comes from someone who was once taken for granted. When you pull back and start focusing on your own journey, you set the stage for a kind of personal evolution that leaves others stunned. And for him, the shock of your growth is like an earthquake. It shakes the foundation of what he thought he knew about you. Think about it. When you were always there, always dependable, he likely formed an image of you that fit neatly into his life. He thought he knew everything about you, your routines, your priorities, your boundaries or lack thereof. But when you step back and pour that energy into yourself instead of him, you disrupt his entire perception. You're no longer the person who's waiting around for his attention. You're out there living, growing, and glowing in ways he never expected. Growth is powerful because it's proof of your independence. It sends a clear message. You're not defined by your connection to him. You're capable of evolving, thriving, and achieving entirely on your own. And let's be honest, that kind of self-sufficiency is rare. It's also intimidating. Suddenly he's faced with the realization that you don't need him the way he thought you did. You've taken the time to invest in yourself, whether that's through leveling up in your career, diving into new hobbies, or simply building a stronger, more confident version of you. What's fascinating is how unexpected this growth often feels to him. People tend to get comfortable when they think they've got someone all figured out. It's human nature. We assume the people in our lives will stay the same, even as we ourselves evolve. But when you defy those expectations, it creates a ripple effect. He's not just surprised, he's curious, maybe even a little unsettled. And that curiosity is the first step toward realizing just how much he underestimated you. Let me give you a visual. Imagine a flower that's been blooming in the background for years, steady, reliable, but easy to overlook. Now picture that same flower suddenly transforming into a radiant, unstoppable force of nature. Its beauty, strength, and resilience demand attention. That's you, and trust me, he's noticing. He can't look away because your growth is a reminder of everything he didn't see before. It's a wake-up call that challenges his assumptions and forces him to confront his own stagnation. Here's the twist, though. You're not growing for him. You're growing for you. And that's what makes it so impactful. You're not out here trying to prove a point or make him regret anything. You're simply living your life in alignment with your own goals, values, and dreams. This authenticity is what makes your growth so magnetic. It's real, it's undeniable, and it's rooted in a deep understanding of your own worth. But here's where it gets even more interesting. When you grow without him, it forces him to reflect on himself. He starts questioning, why didn't I see this side of her before? What else did I miss? That introspection can be deeply uncomfortable, especially if he's been coasting through life without making the same kind of effort to evolve. Your growth becomes a mirror, reflecting his own insecurities and unfulfilled potential. It's not just about missing you, it's about realizing how much he needs to grow too. And let's not forget the ripple effect this has on his emotions. Growth isn't just attractive, it's inspiring. It stirs something deep within him, a desire to reconnect with this new version of you. But here's the kicker. Reconnecting isn't as simple as picking up where things left off. He knows he can't just step back into your life without proving that he's willing to match your energy. Your growth sets a new standard, one that requires effort, respect, and genuine commitment. What makes this so powerful is how it ties into Stoicism and the concept of focusing on what you can control. You can't force someone to appreciate you, and you can't make them grow. But by prioritizing your own development, you take control of your narrative. You show, not tell, that you're someone worth valuing. And whether he chooses to step up or not, you're already winning because your growth is about you, not him. So what does he see when he looks at you now? He sees someone who's unrecognizable in the best way possible. He sees someone who's stronger, more confident, and more fulfilled than ever before. And while that might shock him, it also leaves him captivated, wondering what else you're capable of. The beauty of your growth is that it speaks for itself. You don't need to explain it, justify it, or even share it. It's visible in the way you carry yourself, the choices you make, and the energy you radiate. By the time he fully processes the shock of your growth, one thing becomes clear. You're no longer the same person he thought he knew. You've evolved into someone who commands attention, respect, and admiration. And whether he realizes it or not, he's now playing catch-up, trying to figure out how to fit into the world you're building without him. Reason 5. The realization of what he's lost. Let's talk about one of the harshest truths in life. People often don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. It's not that they didn't care, it's that they got comfortable. When you were there, giving your time, energy, and love, he might have assumed that was just how things would always be. But when you step back, when you remove yourself from his life, that's when the weight of your absence becomes impossible to ignore. At first, he might not even notice. Maybe he tells himself she's just busy, or things will go back to normal soon. But as time passes, something shifts. He starts to feel the void you've left behind. The conversations that once felt so easy and natural, gone. The emotional support you always provided, missing. The comfort of knowing you were always there, cheering him on and making him feel like he mattered, vanished. And that's when the realization hits. You weren't just someone in his life, you were a cornerstone. Let me ask you, have you ever stopped to think about all the little ways you added value to his world? The small acts of kindness, the thoughtful gestures, the way you genuinely cared for his well-being. Those things might have felt natural to you, but to him they were more than that, they were irreplaceable. And when you're no longer there to provide them, he starts to feel the impact of what he's lost. Here's where it gets really interesting. The more time that passes, the more he begins to replay moments in his mind. He remembers the times you made him laugh when he was stressed, the way you always seemed to know exactly what he needed, and the warmth of your presence that made everything feel just a little bit better. These memories aren't just nostalgia, they're a mirror, reflecting all the ways he failed to appreciate you when he had the chance. And here's the thing, this realization isn't just about missing you, it's about regret. Regret for not valuing you when he should have. Regret for not saying thank you more often, for not reciprocating the energy you poured into the relationship, and for letting something so precious slip through his fingers. Regret is a powerful motivator because it forces people to confront their own actions and, more importantly, their inaction. What's fascinating is how this realization ties into Dark Stoic Psychology. When someone is faced with the consequences of their choices, or their lack of effort, it creates a sense of discomfort that's impossible to ignore. He starts to wonder, what if she doesn't come back? What if I've lost her for good? And those questions don't just keep him up at night, they push him to reevaluate everything about how he showed up in your relationship. But here's where the real magic happens. By the time he realizes what he's lost, you're no longer the same person he took for granted. You've grown, you've thrived, you've reclaimed your power, and whether or not he decides to step up, you're already living a life that's fuller, richer, and more aligned with who you are. Now, let's turn it back to you. Have you ever been in a situation where someone didn't realize your worth until you walked away? How did it feel when they came back, trying to reconnect? Or maybe you're in the midst of this transformation right now, stepping back, focusing on yourself, and waiting to see if he'll recognize what he's lost. I'd love to hear your story, so drop a comment below and share your thoughts. And if this reason resonates with you, don't forget to like this video. Every time you engage, you're not just supporting me, you're helping other women find the confidence to reclaim their power and step into their worth. Get ready for what's next, because Reason 6 dives even deeper into how your evolution pulls him back toward you. Reason 6. The desire to be part of your new journey. When you pull back and focus on yourself, something incredible begins to happen. You're not just stepping away, you're stepping up, creating a life that's vibrant, fulfilling, and unapologetically yours. You're building a new chapter, one that's filled with personal growth, exciting opportunities, and the kind of energy that's impossible to ignore. And whether he admits it or not, he's watching. He sees the transformation, and with it comes a deep desire. He wants to be part of your journey. Here's the truth about growth: it's magnetic. When people see someone evolving, they can't help but feel drawn to them. You've moved forward, breaking out of old patterns and stepping into a version of yourself that's more confident, self-assured, and focused than ever before. And for him, this transformation is both awe-inspiring and intimidating. He realizes you're not just surviving without him, you're thriving. Think about it from his perspective. When you were always available, he likely saw you as part of the scenery, a consistent, dependable presence in his life. But now you've become something else entirely, a dynamic, evolving force that's charting a new path. Whether it's through pursuing a passion, building your career, or simply embracing the joy of living, you've created a journey that feels exciting, purposeful, and alive. And he's not just noticing, he's feeling left behind. This desire to be part of your new journey isn't just about FOMO, fear of missing out. It's about recognition. He sees your growth and realizes that the person he knew is no longer the same. He understands that if he wants to stay in your life, he can't just coast along. He has to level up. Your transformation raises the bar, and it forces him to ask himself tough questions. Am I capable of supporting her in this new chapter? Can I match her energy and be the partner she deserves? But here's the beauty of it all. Your journey isn't about him. It never was. You didn't start focusing on yourself to get his attention. You did it because you knew you deserved more. You knew that waiting around for someone who didn't see your worth was a waste of the incredible potential within you. And now, as you continue to grow and evolve, his desire to re-enter your life is simply a side effect of your decision to prioritize yourself. What's fascinating is how this ties into Stoicism and the idea of controlling your own narrative. You're not seeking validation from him or anyone else. You're creating a life that aligns with your values, your goals, and your passions. This kind of authenticity is rare, and it's what makes your new journey so irresistible. People want to be part of something real, something meaningful. And that's exactly what your transformation represents. For him, the thought of missing out on this journey is deeply unsettling. He starts to imagine someone else stepping in, someone who recognizes your worth and supports you in all the ways he didn't. That fear of being replaced. It's not just about jealousy. It's about realizing that your growth is taking you to places he might never reach if he doesn't make a change. But here's the catch. Being part of your journey isn't a given, it's a privilege. He knows he can't just walk back into your life as if nothing has changed. He has to earn his place, and that means showing that he's capable of growing alongside you. Your transformation has set a new standard, and he's well aware that the version of you he's seeing now won't settle for anything less than what you deserve. As you continue to move forward, you're not just creating a better life for yourself, you're creating an example of what's possible when you choose self-love and growth over comfort and complacency. And while he may feel a deep desire to be part of this new chapter, the truth is, you're already on your way, with or without him. This shift in dynamics is what makes your journey so powerful. It's not about whether he decides to come back or not. It's about the fact that you're moving forward regardless. You've chosen to invest in yourself, and that investment is paying off in ways you never imagined. Whether or not he becomes part of your story is up to him, but your story is unfolding beautifully, just the same. Reason 7. The envy of your newfound confidence. Let's talk about confidence, that quiet, undeniable force that changes everything about how you're seen, not just by others, but by yourself. When you were unsure, always second-guessing, or seeking his approval, he grew comfortable, maybe even a little too comfortable. But then you pulled back. You stepped away, stopped giving him access to your energy, and focused on yourself. And in that space, something transformative happened. You found your confidence. And now, he envies it. Why? Because your newfound confidence is a force he didn't see coming. He was used to the version of you that looked to him for validation. He thought he knew exactly who you were and what you needed, but now, everything's changed. You no longer wait for anyone's permission to feel worthy, and that shift is magnetic. Your confidence disrupts the narrative he had in his head about you, and suddenly he doesn't just see you differently, he sees himself differently too. When someone underestimates you, it's often because they've gotten used to the version of you that fit their needs. You made them feel important by relying on their approval. But confidence, true confidence, doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't chase validation, and it doesn't play by someone else's rules. It stands firm, bold, and unapologetic. And now that you've embraced it, he can't help but notice. Picture this. The woman who once hesitated, who asked for his opinion before making decisions, is now standing tall. She's sure of herself, speaking her mind, making moves without needing anyone's input. That's you. And that's the version of you that's making him take a second look, because your confidence makes him feel something he wasn't expecting. Envy. But let's break this down deeper. His envy isn't just about admiration, it's also about discomfort. Your newfound confidence shines a light on his insecurities. It makes him question why he didn't see this side of you before, and why he doesn't feel the same sense of certainty about himself. Your glow up is a reflection of the work you've done, but it also reflects what he hasn't done, and that's a hard truth for him to swallow. This is where Dark Stoic Psychology comes into play. When you focus on yourself and your growth, you're not just becoming more confident, you're reclaiming control over your energy. You're no longer giving him or anyone else the power to dictate how you feel about yourself. That shift isn't just empowering for you, it's a wake-up call for him. He starts to see the gap between who you were and who you are now, and that gap makes him question everything. Here's the thing about confidence. It doesn't have to be loud or boastful. True confidence is quiet, steady, and rooted in self-assurance. It's the way you walk into a room knowing you belong there, even if you don't say a word. It's the way you make decisions with clarity because you trust your instincts. It's the way you hold your head high because you know your worth, regardless of anyone else's opinions. That's the kind of confidence you've embraced, and it's impossible to ignore. What makes your confidence so powerful is that it's not about him. It's not about proving a point or trying to make him regret taking you for granted. It's about you stepping into your power, owning your worth, and living authentically. But from his perspective, it feels like the ground has shifted beneath him. He can't quite figure out how you've become this unstoppable force, and that curiosity draws him in. And let's be honest, he's not the only one who notices. Confidence has a way of attracting attention, and he knows it. He knows that others are seeing the same incredible woman he's seeing, and that realization stirs something deep inside him. He starts to wonder, what if someone else values her the way I didn't? What if I've lost my chance? And those questions don't just keep him thinking, they keep him wanting. But here's the truth. Your newfound confidence isn't about him, and it never was. It's about you embracing the fact that you're enough, flaws and all. It's about trusting yourself, loving yourself, and creating a life that aligns with who you truly are. Whether or not he comes back is irrelevant, because your confidence has already shifted the dynamic. You're no longer chasing him, you're walking boldly into your future, and he's the one left wondering how he let you slip away. So, let me ask you this. When he sees you now, what does he see? Does he see the person who used to wait for his approval? Or does he see the woman who's found her power, her voice, and her confidence? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. Your growth has changed the game. And whether he's ready to rise to meet you or not, you've already won. Now that we've unraveled the 7 powerful reasons why he comes back after you've given him distance, let's take a moment to reflect. This isn't just about him, is it? It's about you. It's about stepping into your power, reclaiming your worth, and living a life that aligns with your highest potential. Each of these reasons, whether it's the shock of your growth, the intrigue of unpredictability, or the fear of losing you, all circle back to one undeniable truth. You are the architect of your own value. Let's be clear, pulling back isn't about manipulation. It's not about punishing him or playing games. It's about honoring yourself enough to step away from situations where you aren't fully valued. It's about embracing the principles of stoicism and understanding that you can't control how others see you, but you can control how you respond. You can control how much of your energy you give and to whom. And that shift, it's transformative. By choosing to focus on your growth, you've set a new standard, not just for him, but for everyone in your life. You've shown that you're not afraid to walk away from what no longer serves you, that you're willing to do the hard work of building a life you're proud of, and that your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's attention. That kind of self-assuredness is magnetic, and it's exactly what draws him, or anyone else, back to you. But here's the best part. Whether or not he comes back, you've already won. Why? Because this journey was never about him. It was about you. It was about finding your voice, reclaiming your energy, and rediscovering the incredible person you are. And now, as you stand at this new chapter in your life, the possibilities are endless. Maybe he'll step up. Maybe he won't. Maybe someone new will see your worth immediately and cherish it the way you deserve. Or maybe you'll continue to enjoy this incredible season of growth, free from the weight of other people's expectations. Whatever happens, one thing is certain. You are moving forward, stronger and more confident than ever. So let me ask you, what part of this journey resonates with you most? Have you ever pulled back and watched as someone realized your worth? Or maybe you're just beginning to take those first steps toward reclaiming your power. Either way, I'd love to hear your story. Let's create a space in the comments where we can share, learn, and support each other on this incredible journey of growth. If this video spoke to you, don't forget to like it and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Your support not only helps me create more content like this, but also spreads the message to others who might need it. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. This is just the beginning of the conversations we're going to have about love, growth, and reclaiming your power. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, your worth isn't determined by who comes back. It's defined by the incredible person you choose to be. Keep thriving, keep growing, and keep shining. I'm rooting for you, always. See you in the next video.